So the Jacksonville Jaguars had one of the craziest transformations I've ever seen. This is a team that went from having the first overall pick in back-to-back years, then they finally win their division, go to the playoffs and win a playoff game, and had a playoff gelling moment that this team's going to remember forever when they had that crazy comeback against the Los Angeles Chargers. But how did they get to this point, and how did this team become one of the better teams in the AFC and one of the better young teams as a whole moving forward? See, the Jacksonville Jaguars struggled last year when they hired Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer was the guy that's going to come in. You match him up with your first overall pick in Trevor Lawrence, and they drafted Travis Etienne when they had a good running back at the time in James Robinson. So a lot of things are already being questioned, and Urban Meyer just is not ready to be an NFL head coach. He's out here kicking kickers, but we're going to fast forward that entire year, because that whole entire year was a wash. Trevor Lawrence didn't look good. The team as a whole looked down, and they were the worst team in the NFL yet again. So they select Trevon Walker, and they hired Doug Peterson. And Doug Peterson proved that he was a beast. Now, this season that they're coming off of was just not all sunshine and rainbows. They struggled up to that bye week, and they struggled up to that Denver Broncos game. They went and lost in London. The Denver Broncos beat them with a late score in the game. It was a touchdown run, and the whole team looked deflated. Russell Wilson's out there celebrating, and it seemed like the Denver Broncos are going to turn their season around while the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to struggle yet again. But something changed and something clicked after the Denver Broncos game. Trevor Lawrence proved that, hey, he is one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, and they established a dominant run game with Travis Etienne and crew. They went 6-1 after their bye week, and this team became one of the better teams in all of football. This is a extremely young football team, but they have veterans where it matters the most in that wide receiver room and on defense. And it helps a lot when you have a former Super Bowl winning head coach in Doug Peterson. And I believe their season really changed when they went against the Baltimore Ravens, and Doug Peterson said, man, you know what? Let's go old school with this, like how he did with the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's go aggressive. Let's go for two late in the game. And they beat the Baltimore Ravens. And that was the gelling moment for this football team. Trevor Lawrence cut down on the turnovers, and on the season he had 25 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Christian Kirk shocked the world, proved that he could be a #1 wide receiver in the NFL with 1,108 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. Evan Ingram turned his career completely around with 766 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. And the main knock on Evan Ingram for his entire career when he was with the New York Giants, the guy couldn't catch. He couldn't do anything. He could get open. He just couldn't catch. He was a very good athletic tight end. And all of a sudden, he has the Eric Ebron effect. When Eric Ebron left the Detroit Lions, he proved that he was a better tight end, and he just wasn't right for that situation. In a similar situation right here with Evan Ingram. He just got the franchise tag as I'm recording this video, and they may work out a 2 to 3 year deal with him moving forward. We will see. But he's an essential part of this offense because he is there when Trevor Lawrence needs a big play the most. And they also made a late trade that not too many people are talking about. Let me inserting Calvin Ridley, a wide receiver from the Atlanta Falcons who proved that he could be a #1 wide receiver. So you're pairing Calvin Ridley up. He missed the entire year because of a gambling issue. But if he can go back to his form, amazing route runner, explosive speed, good hands with Christian Kirk and with Zay Jones and with Evan Ingram, you have a bunch of weapons around Trevor Lawrence, and you still have your first round pick. That is a steal. Now, you may have to pay Calvin Ridley sooner than later, but Calvin Ridley has proven in the past with Matt Ryan, he can break over 1,000 and he can be a stud in the NFL. And it gives Trevor Lawrence another option and another guy to give the ball to and make some big time plays. And speaking of Zay Jones, 823 receiving yards on the season, 5 touchdowns. He was a good wide receiver as well. The guys that really stood out on this team were those wide receivers and Evan Ingram being the tight end, because no one saw those guys working like how they worked in this system around the NFL before. And it comes down to coaching and the quarterback aspect. Like I said, up to that bye week, they just like an average football team. Then after that, things started to click. Their defense played better, and their offense was finally starting to gel. They were 10th in total offense, 10th in passing offense, 14th in rushing. They had the 23rd total defense. They were 27th in passing defense and 12th in rushing defense. And I want to switch over to his defense. Josh Allen finally had another good season for how young he is in his career. 7 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. Trevon Walker, 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. I expect for that duo to be the future pass rushers for this team. Both of those guys will be dominant moving forward. Like I said, Josh Allen's been in the league for quite some time now, but he's proven that he can be a good defensive player for this team moving forward. Trevor Walker's the guy they selected with the first overall pick, and I just made a video about him. But he does a lot of things on film that you like, and he's not a stat sheet stuffer guy, but he's going to open up sacks for everyone else on that defensive line. And he's an amazing run stopper. And it came down to the last game of the season where they were bodying Derrick Henry in the back of the backfield. They're trying to stiff arm him, and those big guys up front were not going for it. If you want to go to the playoffs and you want to be dominant, you have to be dominant in your division first. And they match up very well in the division. The Houston Texans are still rebuilding. The Indianapolis Colts aren't too far off, but they don't have a quarterback right now. And they dealt with injuries last season, and they dealt with coaching issues. I expect for them to still give you a fight in this division. But when you look at the other teams in this division, it's pretty much a toss-up. The Tennessee Titans have a lot of cap situation issues right now. Ryan Tannehill, can he stay healthy? They need to go out there and get a tackle. And they've proven that they can match up very well with the Tennessee Titans and beat them. And the thing is, with those teams in their division, they're built off toughness. Travis Etienne's proved that he's one of the better young running backs in the NFL with the things that he was able to do. And I expect for him to have another huge season next year. A lot of people aren't taking this into perspective as well. This was Trevor Lawrence's first year in this system. Travis Etienne's first year in this system. It's extremely hard for guys to go from their rookie season to their sophomore season and just have a completely switch of an offense. So I looked at last season as a rookie season for Trevor Lawrence, even though he was drafted 2 years ago. It was so terrible, his rookie season, and he was so misused. He was under mismanagement with Urban Meyer. That literally could stunt his growth, but he showed in his second season that, hey, new system, new coach, let me figure this thing out. There's some growing pains, but when they figured that thing out, they really figured it out. And we saw it against the LA Chargers. The Chargers had them down and out. But late in the second quarter and after halftime, they adjusted well. And there was some coaching faults that went down the Chargers. But at the end of the day, the Jaguars made those plays. They went out there, they came back. And wins like that go a long way in the NFL. Because next season, they're gonna say, every time they're down, they're going to say this: hey, this happened in the playoffs. We can come back. We have the quarterback to do it. We have the talent to do it. Let's believe in each other. Let's go out there and win these football games. So that is a pivotal game. I look at this team as the same blueprint of how the Cincinnati Bengals built their football team. The offensive line still needs work on this team. They can get a tackle. They can still get in there if they don't want to pay Jawan Taylor. But I believe that they'll pay him. You have Cam Robinson as well. You know, if you want to retain Jawan Taylor, Cam Robinson is still a guy. So they could use a tackle to see if they want to go that route. They could just stand pat. But their defense still needs work in the secondary, because being 27th in passing defense isn't going to help this team causes. But I believe those young corners will get better, so they can use a cornerback or a safety in that part. Like I said, you use another couple of tackles that come in there and just help out Trevor Lawrence. But the offensive line protection got better because they got Brandon Scherff from the Washington Commanders in the offseason. That was another low-key, really good signing for this team because he helped out in the run game, and he's a good veteran that's been around the league for quite some time, and he's still a good guard in my opinion. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are doing everything right. They're getting Trevor Lawrence more weapons. They got him the right head coach. Moving forward, this will be one of the better teams in the AFC, and do not be shocked that this team can push their way to being in the AFC Championship next year. Like I said, I look at them as the same light as the Cincinnati Bengals. It took the Bengals some time, but when they got those things clicking, they got things gelling together, you look at the Bengals. And I believe that the upside with the Jacksonville Jaguars is higher than Cincinnati Bengals. I think Trevor Lawrence is that all-world quarterback that we expected him to be. He will continue to get better. Travis Etienne will slip into being in that Alvin Kamara role to where he can run in between the tackles, and they need to give him the football more in the passing situations, because that's something that he can do in Clemson. Just put the ball in his hands. Jamal Agnew is a good returner for this team. We will see what he does as a wide receiver. He can be a sneaky wide receiver as well. But as a return man, he's really good. But you go back and look at that Kansas City Chiefs game. They played them extremely tough. This was a young football team. And I understand the Patrick Mahomes ankle injury, but they still played the team tough. Trevor Lawrence needs to cut down the turnovers when it matters the most, because he turned the football over a lot in that Chargers game. Not every interception was his fault, but he needs to cut down the turnovers like how he did in the regular season. Towards the end of the season, he cut down the turnovers. If he can do that, and this team can go out there and Trevor Walker and Josh Allen can continue to just put pressure on the quarterback, This team will be fine for years to come. This is just not a one-year wonder team. In the division that they're in, I believe they could take over the AFC South like it's nothing. And I believe this team will be a scary team to face in the playoffs. So let me know how you feel about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm extremely proud of this team from seeing a team have the first overall pick in back-to-back years, and then a year after that, you go win your division and go win a playoff game and break a record in that playoff game by coming back behind that deficit. So let me know how you feel about Trevor Lawrence, how you feel about the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, when each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.